What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? It is the morning of April 2nd, April 1st. Yesterday, I went to, no, this isn't an April Fool's joke. I went to the local clinic yesterday and got my blood drawn. So these are the results. I woke up this morning a little congested. This is relevant. I'll get into it in a second. But it seems, had I known that my body was fighting off an infection yesterday, I didn't have any symptoms yesterday, I wouldn't have gone to get my blood drawn. But it is what it is. I guess I could hide this test from you guys and get retested. But I will get another blood test maybe in 3 months, maybe earlier, to see what happens. But anyway, long story short, it seems as though my body was fighting off an infection while I was getting my blood drawn. The symptoms didn't appear till this morning, so, well, we'll get into that when it becomes relevant. Anyway, this is my basic blood panel, and everything seems normal, except the first thing that, I wouldn't call it a red flag, but that sticks out is my lymphocyte. The ratio of lymphocytes in my blood came back at 42.8%, which according to this lab is a little bit elevated, but I looked at some other blood tests. I did some research. In the United States, that limit is at 45. So, I ain't worried about it. Anyway, there's also the median platelet volume, which is the platelet count. And it's also related to the size of these platelets. Anyway, I was a little bit low according to this. Again, in the United States, other places in the world, and I'm not saying that that's correct. Maybe Ecuador is. The lower limit is 7.2. Here it's 8. And the upper limit is 11.8. And here it's 15. So go figure. I don't know what to tell you about that. It also, from the research that I've done, depending on the lab, these values differ. I don't know if it has to do with their testing technique or what have you, but having this out of range by itself doesn't really mean anything. It could be due to tester error. If they allowed some of your blood to coagulate, for example, this could come out wacky. If you were just doing some vigorous exercise, or if you're living at high altitude, which both of these conditions being met in my case, it could throw your MPV out of range, I guess. But it's not really much out of range, in my opinion. And, I do live at a high altitude, and I was speed walking to oh, whatever, man. In and of itself, this MPV doesn't mean anything, right? As long as everything else is in order, this is nothing to worry about. Anyway, what else do we have here? The vegan's favorite, my lipid panel. First and foremost, I don't know if I said this, so let me repeat myself. I don't think I did. I was 18 hours fasted having this test done. I'm 40 years old, 5'11 and a half, 175 pounds, just for the record. And blood fasting glucose came back at 96.6. So, well, perfect. My cholesterol, total cholesterol, was 290.8 milligrams per deciliter, which, according to conventional wisdom, I should be put on a statin. This is just outrageous, right? But I ain't worried about it. Anyway, LDL. Oh, well, let's talk about triglycerides since that's what they have. Next, 40.7. So extremely low triglycerides, which in my opinion means that I'm a very effective fat burner, okay? I probably have, there's not a lot of triglycerides in my bloodstream basically because I'm using them for energy. See, this is what a lot of people get wrong about the fat burning state or being in ketosis. Just because you're in ketosis, that doesn't mean that you're using ketones as your primary source of fuel. You're using triglycerides more so than ketones. You do both, but triglycerides are really your main source of energy. So get that right. Anyway, my HDL cholesterol was 71.7 milligrams per deciliter. I have to say I'm very much proud of that. In the United States, which, again, a lot of countries don't agree with, but most places in the US, they say that men should have that above 40. Optimally, above 50, right? You want that as high as possible. Although there are allegedly some new vegan studies coming out conducted by vegetarians and vegans pushing the plant-based agenda, or maybe, and I'm getting on a bit of a tangent here, but allow me, maybe since the patent on LDL lowering statin drugs seems to be running out soon, and anybody and everybody's going to be make generic versions thereof, maybe they're trying to develop drugs to fuck with HDL now so that they can sell you that poison. Anyway, 71.7. So that's pretty good. My LDL cholesterol is considered high by conventional medicine. But again, I'm not worried about it because conventional medicine studies carb burners, and I'm definitely not that, even though I do consume some carbs. I'm very much low carb. And, looking at my lipid panel, and you got to take it with a grain of salt because it's likely that my cholesterol is a little bit elevated. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, it's elevated because I'm a fat burner, right? But it could be elevated even more so because of my body fighting off a disease. And that could go for the HDL as well, right? My body fighting off a infection. Oh God, I need to blow my nose. Hold on a second. Deal with it. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, my total cholesterol is high because I'm a fat burner. These lipoproteins, LDLs, are traveling through my bloodstream, dropping off triglycerides for energy, and they also carry cholesterol, these lipoproteins, right? LDL isn't cholesterol, it's a lipoprotein that carries cholesterol, triglycerides, vitamin E, all the fat-soluble vitamins, so on and so forth, right? So it looks like I have a lot of LDLs traveling through my bloodstream because I'm a fat burner and they're dropping off triglycerides, being very effective at it, meaning I'm a very effective fat burner. And it's possible that my LDL is also elevated a little bit because my body was fighting off an infection. But again, it's first and foremost elevated because I'm a fat burner. What else do we have here? My VLDL is 32.41 milligrams per deciliter. From what I understand, you want that under 40. So not much to say there. This isn't a comprehensive blood panel. I mean, I looked at all the options they had, and if I really wanted to do everything that I wanted to do, it would have cost me about $1,000, honestly. Just to do vitamin B12 was $25, so fuck all that. But if you're curious and you want to pay for it, I'll do it. Serum iron levels came back at 90. Here again in Ecuador, they're telling me mine should be 65 to 75. But from the research that I've done in US, the range is 60 to 170. So, you really got to question these levels, and you shouldn't really rely on blood tests solely on these blood tests, you know what I mean? Because there's no consensus internationally on what these levels should be. But what can I say about that? I'm at 90. Where are you? But, people say that, vegans say that eating heme iron and lots of it, which is what I do all the time, you're gonna reach toxic levels and blah, 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 right? Your body makes heme iron because it's toxic to you. That's why your body makes it, because it's suicidal. Oh, dumbass vegans. I don't seem to have iron toxicity is what I'm saying. And apart from the little cold I seem to be suffering temporarily, I feel awesome. My C-reactive protein was technically, depending on where you look. I've seen sources that say it should be under 3, but then I've seen sources that say it should be under 2. And in the low carb community, I think the consensus is that you want to keep it under 1. So, by conventional medicine standards, it's not bad. By low carb community standards, I would like to personally bring that under 1. Okay, so that's the goal. But again, seeing as my body is fighting off an infection of some sort, that could increase inflammation, definitely. And another thing is I'm still recovering from an injury. It's a long story anyway. So I've been experiencing a little bit of inflammation in my back where a couple of months ago I tore a muscle. So I still feel a little bit of inflammation there. So that could be it too. I'm not sure. But again, I'm going to get retested and see what happens in a few months. And, you know, if that level keeps at where it is right now, or if I can get it below 1, which is where I want to, I'm going to try to intervene in other ways. I have some ideas of some things I could do, but one thing at a time, basically. But, you know, as far as inflammation goes and the way I feel right now, and it sucks because I had never gotten a blood test prior to going carnivore, because I didn't go carnivore for health. I did it for pragmatic reasons that had nothing to do with health. And then I noticed that my health actually improved, where I didn't even think that I was sick necessarily. I thought I was just getting old. But here I am, feeling much better than I have had before. And I'm assuming because of the inflammation that I was feeling, you know, this is a recurring injury actually that I've been dealing with, and maybe I'll make a video about that. But before I was eating carnivore, I mean, my back was inflamed like a mother flower all the time. I would just wake up with back pain, so on and so forth. So had I gotten my C-reactive protein tested back then, I'm guessing my levels of inflammation would have been way higher than this. So, long story short, these are my results. I'm, for the most part, happy. I'm not really concerned about much at this point in time, you know. Can't say I'm happy with my 2.5 C-reactive protein, but I think I have good reasons for why it's there, and what it is a snapshot in time. You know, inflammation, one last thing before I go. Inflammation is good. It's your body's natural response to injury, infection, or, I don't know, some other problem. However, chronic inflammation, which is what I was experiencing before I went carnivore, that's not good. So we're going to wait a few months, maybe a few weeks, and I'm going to get retested and see if I could get that brought down as I would like to, under 1.0. So thank you all for watching. Sorry I didn't get everything, or if there are some other markers that you might be interested in, let me know. Maybe I'll get those tested. We'll see what happens. Anyway, look forward to other blood panels such as this one from me. But for the time being, this is what my labs look like after just about 1 year eating hypercarnivore. Thanks for watching.